Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. This is another day the Lord has kept us, and we're glad about it. Welcome to this platform, acknowledged as Project 365, where we have the opportunity to render hope, encouragement, and inspiration to the whole wide world, and we're so glad about it. My name is Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a non-profit organization, acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated, where again we render hope and encouragement. Actually, we are the action of hope and encouragement. So we're glad to do that. Let me bring in our co-host.
Hello, everyone. My name is Takira Swan. I am so happy to be here, and I hope you are enjoying this beautiful day today. We have a great guest for you this afternoon, but before we get started, I just want to remind everyone, if you have not done so already, please go to our YouTube page and subscribe, like, share. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you know every time we post, because without you, we can't do this. You are part of our team, a part of our Project 365 family, and we would love your support.
We surely would. We surely would. Well, on today, we have our guest with us, and I will introduce him momentarily. But I wanted to let you know our topic first. And we are going to talk about the topic of death. No one wants to talk about it, but we must talk about it. And it's not necessarily death, but it is what we should prepare for before we expire from this earth, and what we should prepare for our families before we expire from this earth. Insurance, paperwork, power of attorney, different things that need to be done. There are too many people that are leaving this earth without some type of plan in place. And that's something that should not be. There are so many options here on this earth, and people to tap into, resources that we can reach out to have everything in place before we leave this earth. And we cannot, again, I talk about, we cannot be me, myself, and I. We have to talk about our families, leave them in a good place, leave them in a good place emotionally, financially. All of that works together. We have to get that done. So today I bring in a friend of mine, Rico Greenfield, who has been in this particular service and doing this work for approximately 26 years. So if he hasn't learned something yet, he just can't learn. So he has a lot of information, and he loves people. That's what I love about it. He loves people, and he loves helping people. So from his knowledge of 26 years in this particular profession, we're going to hear from him. And if you have any questions, put them in our comment section, and we will make sure they are answered. But what he shares with us today will be what he's learned over these 26 years. So we want to welcome Rico. Thank you for accepting our invitation to come and share with us what you can and what you know and what will benefit us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate you. I count it an honor and a privilege to be a part of this show with Miss Portia. I've known her for some years now, and she's just like a mother to me. And whether she knows it or not, she has a big part. I've learned a lot from her, dealing with things, and I saw how she went through when she lost her husband, and all the things that she went through and dealt with, whether good, bad, or indifferent. So, and a lot of things she probably didn't know that she's probably going to learn today. So I know she had talked to me about talking about the experience of me dealing with COVID-19, which I did. Dealt with that back in December of 2020. I was in the hospital for approximately 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, I was almost out of here, but God saw fit to keep me here a little bit longer. So it was an experience dealing with that, because I didn't know whether I was going to live or die. The Bible says that we shall live and not die. It also says, I am among the living and not of the dead. So, and I spoke life into myself, because if you don't speak life into yourself, who else will speak it for you? I just counted an honor and a privilege to talk about my experience as being in the funeral industry for approximately 26 years. It's not been easy. I've went through some things as far as dealing with death of my own loved ones and having to plan arrangements for them, and it's still not easy and still doing it. I have yet to return back to work because of the experience that I had with COVID, but I'm still here. So what I'm going to talk about today is pretty much advanced funeral planning. And the funeral planning, it's not hard to do. It's an easy thing to get into, but a lot of people, as Ms. Portia stated earlier, a lot of people don't want to talk about it. Death is just something it's inevitable. We're going to die. And so we have to know that why leave your family in a position to have to do things that you could have done yourself. So, and it's more easier for them to do it, for you to do it yourself than them have to do it. Because especially when you got families with a bunch of children, there's going to be some clashes, whether it's over money, what they got, what mom and daddy had, what brother and sister had, what children had, is going to be some clashes. And so if you take the time and sit down with a funeral director, whomever, whatever funeral home you choose to do your funeral planning, it's easier to do it that way, that you can pick out everything that you want. And there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. And the only thing that the family can change is the quote unquote, the obituary, whether there's children that's been added or that have been born into the family, more grandchildren, nieces and nephews, whatever, how you want to do it. But it's an easy process. But again, people don't like to talk about it. So we're here to talk about how to sit down with a funeral director and you pick out everything. And I tell a lot of people, when you go into a funeral home, even when the person passes away and they don't have the advanced funeral planning, don't ever take your policy with you. Because especially at this time with COVID-19 going on, funeral homes are getting a little more expensive. They're doing a little bit more than they normally do. And they're charging a little bit more. So, and I'm just being honest because it's what's happening. Because if you don't know what to do, you're lost. And I tell a lot of people, a lot of times, there are people that will, they know how to get you when it comes to your husband, your wife, your children, and your parents. Those are the very ones they'll get you the most with, because they know that you're in mourning and they know that you're hurt and you don't know what to do. And there's so many things going through your mind as what to do and what not to do. And cremation is not one of my things. Some people want to do it. Some people want to have it done. In my case, I don't particularly care for it. But if that's what the person chooses to do, you can still do funeral planning with that as well. As people, we do have services where they do a rental casket and they do all of the planning. They dress them, they casket them, embalm them. There's a public viewing, a funeral service, and then they're cremated afterwards. But the funeral planning process is just you sitting down with the funeral director and you're letting them know what you want, what type of casket you want, what you want to as far as the burial clothing, what you want to be buried in, whether you want flowers or no flowers, whether you want cremation or burial, shipment in or out of state, because by law, in order for you to be shipped out of state, you have to be embalmed. You can't. But in state, it's not allowed to be embalmed. So that in that case, you have to be buried within 24 to 48 hours. 72 hours. I'm sorry. So you have to, and you can't have a public viewing. There's no viewing at all. Direct cremation is where they just take the body you come in, the family comes in. They identify the remains. They say, this is so-and-so. Then they take them to the crematorium and they cremate them, and then they'll send the ashes back, the cremated remains back to the families. But the funeral planning is you just sitting down, talking with them, letting them know how and much you want to spend. Now, when all this is said and done, it's put into a file. It's called a pre-need file. So once that pre-need is done, it's set in stone. They can't add anything or take anything from it as far as what you have sat down and planned out. The prices can't go up, they can't go down, because as we know, once that's it's set in stone, it's in writing. So I tell people a lot of times, get this stuff done. I'll give you an example. My parents, there's almost 70, where my mother just turned 70, my father be 70 in November. I had to fuss and argue and go through a whole lot of rigmarole to get them to do it, but it's been done. I've had mine done. I'm 45. I've had mine done for the last 5 years. So my arrangements are done. Nobody has to do anything for me, but just ship me back, send me home, funeralize me, send me on home, do what you got to do. But when you do the process of the obituary, you have a direct form that you go through as far as putting down who you want. We always say on the form, you always put 3 to 4 people on that form when you're filling out for the obituary part of the funeral service. You always want to put 3 or 4 people, because they will, maybe one that can't do it, maybe one that's already deceased when you're gone. We just don't know. As far as scripture and prayer and the acknowledgments and all of that, you can put all that, you put all that in writing. The who's going to do the eulogy, always put 3 to 4 different pastors or preachers, whoever you choose to do whatever you have them to do. And like I said, it's not a hard process, but it's just people don't want to talk about it. I can't understand that. They think it's a morbid thing to talk about, but at the end of the day, we got to talk about it, because with this pandemic and all these people that have died, it's ridiculous. These people didn't have anything planned. I don't think any of them thought they were going to die anytime soon. I don't think they thought that, this was going to happen. This pandemic has changed a lot of people's lives. It has caused a lot of people to be more so now. Cremation is the big thing now, because of the fact that these bodies had COVID-19 and they were diagnosed with COVID-19 and they passed away from the COVID-19. So it's a hard situation to deal with. We all know, because we've all had death in our families, and it's not an easy process, because you got so many different things going through your mind at that time. What I'm going to do now? Where am I going to get this from? Do I have enough? And if you do the pre-need, if you have enough insurance that you can sit down and do a pre-need, it's easy to do it. I love doing them, because that makes me feel good, and I know that they are being helped, that everything has been chosen for them. They want what they want. They want who they want to sing, whatever. Because sometimes we don't know what to do a lot of times when our loved ones die, because we're just so emotional, especially when it's a sudden death. Now, if they're sick or something like that, that's a different story. But when it's a sudden death, it's even harder on the person that has to go through the process of making the arrangements and dealing with everything that we have to deal with. So I tell people, you just got to know that and pray about it, because prayer does change things. A lot of times people come in the funeral home and they're so sad and downtrodden. I love to make them laugh. By the time I'm finished with them, they're not going to be thinking about that death anymore. They've already had to go through that process, but that's my way of helping them. Because as Miss Portia said, I love people. I'm a lover of people. I've always been a lover of people. I mean, I like you all the time, but I love you because I have to, but we have to do things decent and in order. And we have to know that when we're doing what we're doing, we have to do it in a spiritual manner. And we got to love everybody, because everybody is somebody when it comes to death. We can't tell them, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. Whatever the family chooses to do, that's what we do, because people don't realize that we're not choosing them, they're choosing us. They chose us for a service. We have to do what they want, and so it's a little bit different being up north, because I'm from the South. With a lot of stuff they do here.
Professional, keep it professional.
Yeah, we are. It's a little bit different, because I see stuff that we don't do there that they do here. So it's taking some getting used to being here 8 years, and I still haven't seen any different. But it's just different. So and we have to continue to know that what we know is just something that's one business that never go out of business. Never.
Rico, can you speak to what you've seen with GoFundMe option? Now, I do know that is not an insurance policy.
No, it is not, and I don't like it because
some people have to use it. I understand.
Yeah,
I understand, but don't depend on that.
There you go, because you're begging. You're pretty much begging, and I look at it this way. I'm sorry. If you can buy these expensive cell phones, $800,000-$900,000 cell phone, you better get a little bit of insurance on your loved one. Because if you know they're not capable of getting it themselves, you need to get it for them. There's a lot of my families, I have insurance on them. Half of them don't even know I got it on them. But I'm not going to let them know that, and when they're gone, they'll be buried. I'm not going to take any money from them. I'm going to put it all directly on them, because death money don't last you, whether people know that or not. You ready for the person to pass away. You think you're going to get this, you think you're going to get that. It's not going anywhere. That money will leave you just as well as you got it in your hands. It's going to leave. So, and people think, because in some people's cases, they're going to be all right. They don't know, especially if they're a husband and a wife, they don't know how much that person has to go through and deal with when it comes to a spouse passing away. They don't know how much they had, because it's none of their business to know. But this GoFundMe, I don't particularly care for it, because I feel as though that you're begging. And it's like you said, it's not an insurance policy.
It's not an insurance policy.
Yeah, you're going to get that money.
Yeah.
You're going to get that money.
I understand that.
But it's just not. I don't like it. I feel uncomfortable.
And audience, just know we're not looking down on you because you've had to use GoFundMe, but we're just saying to others, don't depend on GoFundMe, that option, because it is not an insurance policy. I just say that. And if people that go to maybe McDonald's or Burger King or these fast food restaurants, just don't go for maybe two times really, and get insurance and use that money for insurance for the month. When you really discipline your thought pattern and your mindset, you can do this for the long run, for the long haul.
That's right. And it's sad when you got to go to a funeral and the pastor or the funeral director got to stand up and beg for money in the service. That's embarrassing.
We're keeping off the shade. Back up. We're keeping off
the
shade.
Yeah,
but it's reality.
It's reality, and that's reality. And doing this for as many years as I've done it, I have seen it so many times, and I a lot of times I put my head down because I won't even do it. I let the other one do it because I just feel so bad having to do that. Yeah. And because a lot of these funeral homes now won't even take you if you don't have money at all.
Yeah, that's you're right.
And now people, especially in certain areas, they have gotten to the point that they're leaving the remains in the hospitals for 2 or 3 days and not having them removed or not claiming them.
Well, let me ask you this, Rico. What other paperwork can survivors, well, they're not survivors at this point, what other paperwork can those that are still here, we that are still here, prepare for before we expire from the earth? Are there any other? What about power of attorney?
Yes, power of attorney. Now you have to get those the power of attorneys that some of them, they will die when the person passes away. So you have to make sure you're getting the right one. As far as the courthouse, the clerk of court and stuff like that. Of course, it's a little bit different here. Making yourself the executor or executress of the state, it's best to do that immediately after they pass away so that they won't come, because a lot of companies that they may have owed and you got a lot of bills and a lot of things another thing they don't know about is Social Security. Social Security only pays you $255. It used to be $250, but it went up $5. Now, that's it. Didn't go for $5. So you ain't getting much out of that $255. And the family, if the family chooses to give it to the funeral home, they can. If they choose, because it's only going to go to the spouse anyway. Because the children can't get it. If there's no spouse, children cannot get the money. So it's only the spouse.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, and you're so right about it. A whopping $255.
That's all you're worth
You done lived all this time, and that's all you're worth.
Let me speak to the widows and widowers. To our widows, it is so important for you to find out how to conduct business before your spouse leaves us.
Yes.
Very important. There are times when the men handle the business portion of a family. And whether, again, if you have to take care of him to the very end, or if it is a sudden death, either way, you're going to have to know the
in and outs.
The in and outs of business, of taking care of your home. And some of the women do not know how to conduct business. And then when you have to go outside of the family to get information, again, sometimes you can be taken advantage of. So I encourage you to find out how does your husband operate the finances, the pays the bills, the checking account, and all of that. It is so very important. Don't be so left out in the cold when your spouse passes away. To our widowers, same difference. Your wife may handle everything. But it's something about you
may not know it.
Going home, how to do it. Just know how to do it. You may not want to do it, or you may not have to do it, but it's still good to know how to do it.
And when to do it, and what to do, and when it, because a lot of times, and you're right, there's a lot of times where men don't. The wives took care of everything. They were the head of the household in so many words, even though he was there, but he still didn't know how to do anything. I've seen it a lot of times. They so lost, they don't know what to do. They didn't know how to pay a bill because she took care of the bills. Same thing, vice versa. If the man took care of everything, the woman doesn't know how to do anything. Not being facetious or anything like that. But a lot of times they're lost. Now, I already know in one case, Miss Portia knew what to do because she was taught, probably taught you, and he let you know this is what you got to do if I'm gone. So you knew the ins and outs of what to do and what not to do as far as, and so you couldn't be taken advantage of, because I'm quite sure he talked to you about that, because people would, like you said, people will take advantage of you because you don't know any better and don't know anything, and you feel lost and you feel like you need the help, but they don't want to help you, or they're going to tell you what they want you to know, but they're not going to tell you everything that you need to know.
This is the conversation we have to have. Husbands and wives, we have to have this conversations. Parents and children, you have to have this conversation. Again, like Rico said, just in case there are several family members, and then you think about blended families. You think about, a lot of times we don't talk about stepchildren because we call it now blended families. And biological families, adopted, all of that comes into play at the time of death. But if it's already taken care of, if you've already taken care of this information, you will have peace afterwards, because sometimes all of hell breaks loose.
Yes.
At the time of death.
Lord, yes.
And that's not what we want. And I am so grateful to God, and really, honestly, hear my heart. It's not that I'm bragging, but we did not have that when my husband passed away, because he took care of that before. And then we had peace through the whole situation. So
that's the most important thing, to have peace. Peace of mind. Because if you don't have your peace of mind, what else do you have? If I saw, knowing you when I met you, and I saw the love that you had for him and he had for you, and you did all that you could do for him. Mm-hmm. So there was no need of you having not to worry about things, because he had already told you what to do. Yeah. And taught you, not saying taught you, but you had to learn it. You watched him do it. And that was a blessing there, that you didn't have to go through that, because yeah, a real blessing. And I like to hear those stories of where all that stuff is taken care of ahead of time. I like to hear the stories of you knowing that someone loved me enough to sit down and talk with me about this stuff and show me what to do and teach me some things that I don't know, because everybody, it still has a teachable moment. Everybody still has, if you got an unbeknownst spirit to be taught, you can be taught many things. But now if you pick it up, you pick it up. If you don't, I mean, what can we say? If you're not, but you need to pay attention to this stuff, because all of this is very important when it comes to death.
Very important.
Death is just what it is. I mean, we all have experienced it. We've lost parents. Of course, I haven't lost mine, but I feel for those that have lost their loved ones, whether it's their parents or grandparents. I've lost grandparents, so I know how that feels. I've lost, children and stuff. It's not easy as people think.
It's not easy. But Rico, I tell you, we thank you so very much for the information that you shared. And I am hopeful that this information helps people. And whether you are taking care of someone and they have not reached that expiration time yet, or if, just it's good to be knowledgeable of this type of information. So,
and also they can go online and it's called advancedfuneralplanning.com.
advancedfuneralplanning.com.
Yeah, and they can ask. They will send you a free packet, and you sit down. Yeah, you can sit down and you can actually write out everything you want to. Take it to a funeral home, and they'll go from there. Take your policy with you. Pick out what you want. Because, and another thing, people don't know this either. Funeral homes don't like for you to tell it, but they do. As far as caskets, you don't have to buy your casket from the funeral home. That's another thing. Caskets are expensive. Costco sell them. Walmart sells them.
They're coming for you, Rico. They're coming for you.
But it's the truth. You don't have to. I mean, you're the one that's taking care of all of this. You have to, you have to look at the expenses of what's going on.
That is so true. I know. I had my husband cremated. My husband is here with me today.
And we know.
But I think it's called the urn. What you put the
the urn. Yes.
I'm not going to tell you what I paid for in the insurance, the funeral home. And someone told me I could get it from Amazon.
Yes.
So how much I could have paid?
Yeah, they got you. They got you. Even, I know you explained that there was family that you knew the funeral, but they still get you. Whether they know you're not, they will get you, because
their services were wonderful. Yes, the services.
Yeah, they cared. I
wasn't knowledgeable at the time.
But the more you learn, the more you learn, the more you know, and the better
more money you can keep in your pocket.
Yeah, there you go. Amen. Because, like I said, that's very important to know that. But and we can, we can have fun with it, because a lot of times we joke and we laugh, but when it comes to the seriousness of it, it's really a serious topic that we, especially older people, and when they don't have families, I think a lot of these churches need to be involved in that they don't have families, that they could actually have revenue in the church, because they get these policies. They ask the loved one, if the person, if they would allow them to do that. Because there's revenue after the services. Because, if they don't have families, who's going to bury them? And you don't want to see them just left out in the cold.
Good point. Another thing that, and it's not, there are times when people say the church want money, church want money. How you think we're going to operate? The church is going to operate. They have you want to be cool in the summer. You want to be warm in the winter. They have bills.
Water.
Let's go back to the insurance policy. Put your church on your insurance policy.
Thank you. If you don't have any family, put them.
Even if you do have family, your family.
Sometimes
they don't have to have all the money. They don't. Your family don't have to have all the money. My kids know my church is on my insurance policy. So Kingdom Worship Center, when I pass away, make sure Craig, Brian, Missy, Tracy, somebody, make sure you get that money. Okay. So put that church on they've been feeding you spiritually for years and years. And even if you just met them, they still deposited something in you. So
That's right.
your insurance policy, hey, I'm going to heaven. I'm going to heaven. So my spirit is with God. So I don't care what you do with my body. Hey, it's going. Just make sure you do what I say with my shoes and my purses.
Oh Lord,
Just
yes,
kidding. Just
yes.
kidding. Just kidding. Takira, let's wrap it up. Come on.
I'm cracking up over here. So I do have some things to say for our wrap up. But we do have some questions in the comment section. So I'm just going to ask you a couple of those and you can answer them to the best of your ability.
Briefly.
Someone, let me see. Someone wants to know, is there a particular age that you suggest to set things up for yourself ahead of time, even if you're in good health? So let's say someone's in their 30s, 20s, 40s, you know, like what's a good age to set things up?
I'm thinking if you have a job and you have insurance, if you feel comfortable with it, if you're paying a policy, get as early as 18, because that policy is good. It's not going anywhere. Now you might have to add a little bit more to it, because a lot of times policies are not worth the paper they're on, to be true. Especially because older people have gotten policy over the years with black insurance companies or whatever, and when they passed away, there was more money had to be added to it. Let's just be truthful about it, and they had to come out of pocket for more money. But yeah, I say 18. If back then, if I had knew what I know now, I would have done it at 18. But I tell people now, because so many people are dying now. You got children passing away. I say just get that stuff in order. I like I've told my sister about my nieces and my nephews and stuff. Get this stuff in order now. I've already sat down with them and we've already done things for them. I have insurance on them myself, so I've already chose what they're gonna get. This is what they're gonna get, and we're gonna go with that. But a lot of times, and they're in their 20s, and so their stuff is already taken care of and planned. So I say 18 to 20, start now. If you got a good job, if you or 25 after college or whatever, get this stuff now. Take care of it now, because then you have to, especially if you're not married, or because we don't know when we're gonna leave here. We don't know when we're gonna leave here, and we don't want to leave our parents or our spouse or whoever we may be with. We don't want to leave them with not knowing what to do, because you didn't write anything down. So I just say 18, starting out like 18.
So as soon as possible.
As soon as possible, yes, as soon as possible. Because like I said, people are dying, and they dying every day.
Right. And also just one more question. If you are still legally married, and let's say you have an illness like dementia or Alzheimer's, but you've been separated from your spouse prior to death, who usually conducts your business at that point?
Well, if you're still legally married, they're going to still look at the spouse.
Okay.
So the spouse still has to say so. Can't change it. If they're still married and there's a marriage license that is still legally married, there's no divorce decree, then that's it. I mean, you can. People fuss about it and stuff like that, where they don't want this one to be involved in, but you have no choice. That's the law. That's what
and that's something that's really good for everyone to know, because I know a lot of times people do separate nowadays and don't get legally divorced, and then something happens and it just creates more stress for the family. So that's really good to know. So everyone listen, please. Just in case you're in that situation, act accordingly and plan accordingly. So as far as my wrap up, I just want to say that this is a major topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but it's very, very important. Unfortunately, I've experienced death in my family, like a lot of people have, but more than once. Like in a small period of time, I've had several people pass away. And for the first time in my life, I had to take part in the planning of getting everything done. So I can personally attest to that, what he's saying. It's much easier for the people who are your survivors to have to deal with everything if everything's already planned. And just to give everyone maybe a reference, if you're like, well, I don't know, everyone watching this has had someone that they love pass away. And you know how hard that was for you. So imagine having that grief that you have to go through and trying to, resolve the issues you have going on internally and trying to get some peace. But then now they're saying, hey, guess what? We need you to do A, B, and C so that your loved one can, be buried or cremated or whatever. And now you have to have a business part of your grief that is very stressful unless you have plans in place. So, and I was lucky enough, one of the people I had to plan for and be involved with extensively, she had a policy and everything in place and everything was planned out. And that was just a smooth transition, which was great. It was my father's mother, which was a perfect example because it's 7 of them. She had 7 children. So that right there could take a quick turn to be
Yeah.
negative. We have 7 kids, like, I want this, I want that. Nope, she laid everything out of what she wanted, and it was much smoother than it could have been.
Yeah. Because a lot of children like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it could be something so simple, even if it's not like, oh, who's going to get money or whatever, people will argue over, well, I don't think, this person looks great in black. I wanted to have them in blue, just little things that become huge mountains, in addition to your grief and your pain. And it just adds stress on the body. You're not at peace. And it just really prolongs the grieving process. So I really want to encourage everyone, even if you're young and healthy as a horse, to get, just get some insurance, just start planning and getting some things in order because you do love your family. And as far as that whole GoFundMe situation, like you said, we do know that a lot of people have to use that route because they didn't have things in place. But what a lot of people don't realize is that sometimes even if you have a whole bunch of people, contribute to your GoFundMe fund, it's still not enough money. And who wants to leave your loved ones in debt? No one. Death should not incur debt. To me, it shouldn't be. So don't leave your loved ones with debt and having to pick, okay, well, I want to have a service, but I don't have enough money. We can't have anyone serve chicken. No, it's like even the smallest things, I'm telling you, become huge mountains.
Huge arguments. And I have seen it where they have fought at funerals over what they're gonna put them on, especially when they got a bunch of children, more than 7. Yeah. I have had families that had a whole lot of children. I had one family one time had 19 children still living, and they were 33 total. But there was 19 still living. So you got this is here. So you got all your sisters and brothers wanting to fight over what mom and daddy would have wanted. And see, and if mom and daddy had all this stuff playing, but see, I always, I try to make a joke out of it. Sometimes I say, well, that as my grandfather used to say, well, they got that smile on their face because they left all that hair back here for you to deal with. So, and that's what happens because they let up there just smiling and looking all good, and they already know all that hell get ready to break loose because they already know what didn't take place. And so because some people don't care, they say, well, I'm gone anyway, so what the difference? I don't care what you do with me. But you
don't do that because it matters. Trust
me. It matters. It matters.
Unfortunately, like you said, services to lay you to rest are extremely expensive, more expensive than you would think. Even if you think, oh, I know they cost a lot. No, I have learned, like, oh my goodness, like just for a basic something, it costs how many thousands of dollars? And I just encourage everyone, get all your paperwork in a row. There are so many resources out there where you can set up everything from your power of attorney, what to do if you get sick. Have some money to the side saved up. Even if you have insurance policy, have some money saved up so that if something's not covered and you have to add to it, like you said, your family or whoever is left to bury you or to deal with your passing doesn't have to struggle. And let's say, you don't have anyone, but all your ducks are in a row. When you have that paperwork done, you dictate, okay, I have all this money saved up. This is where the money goes. So that you are just closing out, finishing out your life with a bang, because death is inevitable, like you said. And for those of you who find it hard to talk about, I definitely understand that. But I say, just go ahead, bite the bullet, plan it now, and then live your life. Just live, when you're in that moment and it's a little stressful for you, and it's morbid, you don't want to think about it. It's just a moment, because after you plan it, you're
It's
gonna
done. It's done.
continue on with your day.
That's right. It's done and it's over with, and you've already done it, and you should feel better about it because you don't have to leave someone with the process of having to deal with it. Because I'm telling you, it is something I have seen it, and it's an embarrassment to the loved one that is gone because they back there fighting and arguing and want to throw blows, and it's just a mess. And so we just have to know that if it's an easy process, and I like those easy processes.
Yeah.
20-30 minutes, because it don't take long. 20-30 minutes and you're done.
Kara, bring us on in.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on our platform today. We appreciate this wonderful information that you have provided, this information that's much needed that people may not think about. So we just encourage all of you just to start doing your research to see what you need to do to get, your things in order. And before we go, just one more reminder, please go to our YouTube page, subscribe, and share this video. This video has so much wonderful information that everyone can benefit from. So share, like, and subscribe. And we will see you back again tomorrow at 1 o'clock. All right.
Thank
See
you so
later,
much.
guys.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.